There is a woman you have seen before. Not in a magazine, not on a runway, maybe at a cafe or crossing a street, or sitting across from you on a train. She is wearing almost nothing of note, a white shirt, dark trousers, simple shoes, and yet something about her stops you. She looks complete, effortless, like she arrived at herself a long time ago and never looked back. You, meanwhile, are standing in front of a wardrobe full of clothes, running late, wearing the fourth thing you tried on, and still not quite sure if it's right. This gap between her and you has almost nothing to do with money and everything to do with a set of principles the Japanese have quietly practiced for centuries. By the end of this, you will understand exactly what those principles are, and you will know how to apply them tonight with what you already know. The problem nobody names correctly. Most people diagnose their wardrobe problem as a shortage, not enough of the right things, so they buy more. And the problem remains, because the problem was never a shortage. Stanford researcher Jonathan Lebov demonstrated that the human brain degrades in decision quality after repeated choices. The first tax that a cluttered wardrobe levies is neurological. Every morning you stand before too many options, you are spending cognitive resources that belong to the rest of the day. But here is what nobody tells you. A larger wardrobe does not solve this. It compounds it. The Japanese understood this long before neuroscience confirmed it. Their answer was not addition. It was a different relationship with objects entirely, and it begins with 3 kanji that, together, form one of the most useful ideas you will ever encounter. The first principle, danshari, the edit, dan-sha-ri, refuse, dispose, separate. Hideko Yamashita, who formalized this concept, asked a question so simple it is almost embarrassing. What is more important, my life or my things? Most wardrobes are built by accumulation. A sale here, an impulse there, a dress spot for a life you are planning to live. Layer by layer, the wardrobe stops reflecting who you are and starts reflecting every version of yourself you are afraid to let go of. Danshari cuts through this with a single, honest question applied to every item. Does this serve the life I am living right now? Not the life you had 3 years ago, not the life you imagine when the algorithm shows you something beautiful. The life you are actually in. Today, this week, this season. Every item that cannot answer yes is not a garment. It is a decision you are deferring. And deferred decisions accumulate into the quiet daily chaos that makes getting dressed feel like a small defeat before the day has even begun. The practical application is straightforward. Take everything out, lay it somewhere you can see it, ask the question honestly, piece by piece. What goes back is your wardrobe. What remains on the floor is noise you have been carrying. This is not minimalism as an aesthetic. This is editing as an act of self-knowledge. The second principle, ma, the space that works. Japanese architecture, garden design, the tea ceremony, ikebana, all of them share a structural understanding that Western design spent centuries trying to eliminate. What is absent is as important as what is present. Ma is the Japanese concept of deliberate empty space, the gap, the pause, the room that meaning moves through. Applied to a wardrobe, ma is not about owning less for the sake of owning less. It is about understanding what space actually does. When a wardrobe is overcrowded, the brain cannot see it clearly. Research in environmental psychology confirms that visual clutter activates the same stress response as a chaotic workspace. Elevated cortisol, reduced decision quality, a background anxiety so familiar, most people no longer notice it is there. When space is introduced, when garments hang with room between them, when every item is visible at a glance, something neurologically different happens. Clarity, agency, the sense that you are in control of your mornings rather than managed by them. The capsule wardrobe is, at its core, an act of creating ma. Here's the test. Stand in front of your wardrobe tomorrow morning and give it 10 seconds. Simply look. Do not search, do not decide. Just see. If in those 10 seconds your eyes cannot find 2 or 3 items they immediately trust, there is too much noise and not enough space. The goal is a rail where every item earns its place, where nothing is conditional. Not in the right mood, not on the right accessories, not on a good day. Everything works, always. That is what Ma feels like in practice, and once you have felt it, a crowded wardrobe becomes genuinely difficult to return to. The third principle, wabi-sabi and shisoku, the philosophy that changes everything. This is where the wardrobe question stops being about clothes. Wabi-sabi is one of those concepts that resists exact translation because it describes something Western aesthetics has historically treated as a problem to be solved. The closest approximation, the quiet beauty of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Wabi, a simplicity that borders on austerity. Sabi, the beauty that accumulates in an object over time. The way a linen shirt becomes softer, more itself with every wash. The way worn leather develops a character no new object can possess. The Western fashion industry is built on the opposite premise, that your current self and your current wardrobe is a problem, and that the next purchase is the solution. It is a story with no ending because the ending was never the point. The point is the next purchase. Wabi-sabi interrupts this story. It says that the imperfect, well-chosen, well-worn thing is not a compromise. It is the destination. Paired with it is shisoku, knowing enough. Not having enough, which is always conditional, always fragile, always one bad day away from feeling insufficient. But the capacity to recognize that what you already have, honestly chosen, is already sufficient. Research in consumer psychology confirms that wabi-sabi knew intuitively. The satisfaction of a new clothing purchase returns to baseline within roughly 12 weeks. The dopamine spike is real. So is its disappearance. Shisoku is not about deprivation. It is about understanding this cycle clearly enough to stop being unconsciously governed by it. Together, these two ideas produce a wardrobe that trend-chasing never can. One that reflects a stable, continuous identity rather than chasing an imaginary one. Getting dressed stops being a performance. It becomes a confirmation. You are not dressing to become someone. You are dressing as someone. The difference is subtle. The effect, compounded across every morning of your life, is not. What this looks like in practice. A Japanese capsule wardrobe is not a uniform. It is not 10 identical gray t-shirts. It is a small number of garments chosen with honest attention to who you actually are, how you actually live, and what actually makes you feel like yourself. In practice, this means neutral foundations, white, navy, stone, charcoal, not boring. The conditions under which a single interesting piece becomes the whole outfit. Fabric over logo, fit over trend, quality against the skin communicates something no brand name can replicate, and it costs less than you think when you stop buying things you never wear. 1 or 2 pieces with character, a texture, a cut, something distinctly yours. They do not need to be expensive, they need to be honest. And crucially, things worn until finished. The scuffed shoe, the softened collar, the faded denim shaped by your life. In wabi-sabi logic, these are not neglect, they are the point. Tonight, open the wardrobe, take everything out. Ask Yamashita's question, one item at a time. What goes back should be smaller than what came out, and what goes back should be things you would choose again, today, knowing what you know. Then tomorrow morning, stand before what remains. Give it 10 seconds of Ma. Simply see it. Notice what that feels like. That feeling, quiet, almost impossible to name, is the beginning of shisoku. The moment you recognize that an honest wardrobe, small and imperfect and completely yours, is not a limitation. It is the whole point.